Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome to this LinkedIn Live on overcoming the fear of speaking and making mistakes when speaking a foreign language. And a very warm welcome as well to Megan Nichols, my colleague, who's joined us today.
Yeah, thank you. It's so exciting to be here. My first LinkedIn Live. So, I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yes, so welcome to all of you. You've got a comments box there. You can perhaps let us know where you're all based. I see a lot of you are based in Zurich, like myself. So perhaps we can start with a small introduction. Megan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I'm from the UK, so if anybody's watching from there, I'm sending lots of best wishes. But I'm currently based in Mexico. I used to live in Germany and France, and I have started my own business, Mega Language Coach. And I work primarily with Germans, actually, which is why it feels like a good match to chat to you, Sandra. And I'm coaching business English and confidence techniques, how we can adjust mindset and how we can feel confident when we're using English. But these skills are actually transferable to lots of areas of life, I think.
Very much so, yes. And we've got a pretty similar target audience. I think we both work with professionals. So I help international professionals in Zurich and in Switzerland speak German with ease so they can integrate better and also unlock their full potential really in a work and social environment. So many are looking for a job or looking for a new challenge. And it helps, of course, if you speak German at a higher level. So many of my clients are already quite good in German, but they want maybe German for the job market, etc. So that's my key focus area.
Yeah, exactly. It's like fine tuning what they've already got and giving them the skills to boost that. I think that's really valuable.
Yes, and obviously the goal of this live is that by the end, all of you will have some practical tips to speak more confidently and also make mistakes without fear. And to show you that we've all been there, Megan and I thought we'd share a little story. Megan, can you recall a time when you were a bit worried about making a mistake speaking a foreign language?
Honestly, Sandra, it's so hard to pick just one. Like, I have learned German, French, and I'm currently learning Spanish. And so many instances spring to mind. And that's what I'd really encourage the listeners, that we've all been there. And it's actually part of the process. Like, if you're already perfect from when you start, what is the point of learning a new skill, you know? To pick one specific thing, I would probably say when I was in the south of France and I needed to go to the doctors. And already, when you're feeling ill, you feel like you're not your best self. And I was worried that I wouldn't be able to explain my symptoms to the doctor. But through hand gestures and a mix of, different languages, we got there eventually. And because they're in a position where they want to help you, I think these people are normally very understanding, and they know that it might not be perfect, but you're aiming to get the message across rather than get the grammar exactly right. As long as you can get the medicine you need, then it's okay. So it all worked out in the end. What about you?
Okay, fantastic. Yes. Yes, it's often in those kinds of situations where we're already a bit nervous, right? So like going to the doctors. What do I remember? Yes, I was in Italy once. So I'm a beginner in Italian, and I was at this bakery in Turin, and there were all these lovely little pastries. And I was there with a friend of mine who's got really good Italian. And given I'm a language teacher, I didn't want to look stupid in front of him, right? But there was also a queue of Italians. The shop was really busy. And when it was my turn, I suddenly couldn't remember how to say I would like. So, I had to take a deep breath and it came back to me. But then the guy in the bakery said, what can I get you? And I said, I'd like a croissant, please. And then he said something which must have been a chocolate one or a vanilla custard one.
Yeah,
And I just said, yes.
Yes, I'll take all of them.
And that's probably what I wanted. But he actually just repeated very calmly, and he said it again really slowly. And then I understood. And that felt really good. And then I was able to move on to ordering my cappuccino, and I even asked for soya milk. And at the end of the day, it was a really good experience. But sometimes we're just there, and all it takes is maybe just taking a deep breath, and it will come back to you.
Yeah, it's definitely easier said than done. Why do you think that we have this fear? Why do you think we have that moment of panic?
Yeah, there's probably a variety of reasons. I think some of it is a fear of judgment. Maybe we've been in situations, even back in school, where we had teachers that weren't amazing. Maybe people laughed at us. And it's also to do with our upbringing. What did our parents tell us when we were young? So there's a lot of that which is still stuck in our minds, and it comes back whether we want it or not. Yes, and also we're, as professionals in our day-to-day job, we know what we're doing. We're so competent, and we're used to being in charge. So the moment you lose that and you think, oh dear, I don't know what to say, or we feel a bit lost, it makes us nervous, and that's not what we're used to on a daily basis, really. So those are some I can think of. Anything you can add?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, it's this humiliation, this shame, and it's like these internal feelings that I work with a lot of clients who, like you said, are experts in their fields. They're managers, they've got international teams, they're very capable people. So they have this perfectionism, and it can be quite difficult to process those feelings of not being top of your game. So you would rather, like, this fear comes from the idea you'd rather say nothing than say something wrong. And it's trying to break through that. Also, depending on your culture. So, like I said, I work with lots of Germans, and I think this kind of rule-based and structure-based society is like it has to be good first time. Whereas other clients I have, maybe from like Latin American countries, not to generalize, but they seem a little bit more laid back and go with the flow. So I think depending where you're coming from can depend on your attitude to making mistakes and this fear behind it.
Yes, it's definitely a cultural thing. Like you say, the Germans, we we don't like making mistakes. The same maybe goes for all German-speaking countries, Austria, Switzerland.
Yeah.
You always want to appear really competent. So that's also sometimes at the heart of that, maybe.
So what can we do, Sandra? Do you have any tips that we can beat these feelings of fear and this panic?
Yes, we should definitely give some tips. And you mentioned earlier, Megan, that you also focus on mindset coaching in your lessons as well. And that's often the number one thing that I also notice when I have a new client. We talk about how they're feeling about their language skills at the moment. And there's often this frustration, and they tell me their own stories. So I think that is a really important part to work on. So almost shifting from I can't do this to a growth mindset, and imagining how it would feel if you could do it, and then take it step by step. So, accepting that mistakes are not failure, but they're an opportunity to learn from them. So if I go back to the Italian pastry shop in my mind, I will always remember now how to say, I would like a croissant, please.
Right.
And in my mind, I can picture that shop. So you can take many positive things from mistakes, and they are not failure, but they're feedback. So it's about shifting that mindset and telling yourself, if I keep going, a few weeks, months, or years from now, I can be in a very different spot to where I am now.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that tip. Mindset is such a big hurdle to overcome. I think if we go into more practical things, and I'm sure you do this with your clients as well, it's like making short pieces of progress and safe practices so that you have like the tangible results. So I do a lot of role play with my clients in situations that they would actually use the language, rather than learning all of the grammar rules or a big long list of vocabulary. We're using it in a tangible way for things that they would need it in a way that's helpful for them. So I would do the role play. I often encourage them to record themselves, which everybody hates doing, but is actually beneficial, whether it's like the voice note tools or even like in the mirror or video. And I think this is going to be helpful for like the short meetings as well, because then you've got the key phrases that you're going to use.
Yes, role play is a great way of practicing, and also what comes with that is whole phrases that you can practice. So rehearsing these phrases and sentences for common everyday situations relevant to your world is really important. It's not about some topic in the course book, but it's about what you need to do going about your everyday life. So whether that's going to the doctors or maybe speaking to your children's teacher at school, or you have a job interview and you want to do that in German, or you have to do it in German because the role is in German. So it's these types of things. It's not about knowing all the grammar in the book. That's not even necessary. It's having the right types of phrases and practicing those, which really sort of helps.
Yeah, exactly. I am definitely a grammar nerd, but I know I'm the exception, and most of my clients do not enjoy this. But I love what you said, like not focusing on that. Like the flawless grammar is less important than the communication. You know, we learn languages so that we can use them and so that we can speak to people. And even native speakers make mistakes all the time, as you just saw. So it's focusing, you know, on the message rather than the perfection, and not beating yourself up for getting everything right first time. I think that's a really valuable lesson, but I know it's a difficult one to learn.
Yes, but that's what people value when they speak to you, right? They don't really notice the odd grammar mistake, but they think, yes, I understand what this person is saying, and communication is successful, which is all you want. Yeah, so to help you with that, just one more tip that springs to mind is also when you learn new words, don't just learn them by themselves, you know, isolated, but make sure that you chunk language. So just to give a couple of examples, instead of just learning the word suggestion, if your children's teacher says it's not going so well with the German, maybe you could say, well, what can you suggest? Do you have any suggestions? And learn that as a phrase so you can then use it. Or, you know, job application. Don't just learn the word job application. That won't get you that far. But if you can say, hello, I just wanted to check in about my job application because I haven't heard back yet, you can actually then use that in a phone call. And these, yes, phrases, chunks, even if you don't always understand all the grammar behind it, you can learn them and know when to use them. So that's very helpful in terms of successful communication, as we were saying before.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't always guess them. Like, is it make a decision? Is it take a decision? Is it meet a decision? I know in different languages, they all have different words that go together. So I love that tip. Learn it as a phrase rather than as isolated word. Last thing I would say about overcoming the fear is find somebody that you can learn with, whether it's a coach or whether it's a friend or a language buddy. I've done lots of tandem exchanges, for example. I think this really helps the fear of overcoming mistakes, because normally you're learning together and you see that it's normal and you realize you're not alone in this. It just makes it more fun if you have somebody that's helping you stay accountable and you feel like you can do it together.
Yes, I love the phrase or the term language buddy. It's such a nice word to say. There's somebody in the same situation as me. They're also learning German or English. And you can then chat about it, and not just the language aspect, but how are you feeling? How are you getting on? You can maybe also hold each other accountable and say, you know, have you done some revision? Have you practiced? Or shall we go out together and speak to some people? So that's really important. You're not alone, and you can find somebody to support you, and then it's so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. We've shared so many tips, Sandra. What would be your key takeaway or message for somebody that's struggling with this?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things to say is because people are often looking for confidence, but that doesn't come automatically. You know, confidence is a bit like a feeling like being happy or sad. You can't switch that on. So it's not the thing to look for, but action is key. So action comes first. And then, you know, through practice and positive feedback, sometimes negative feedback, but certainly feedback, you can grow your confidence. But if you don't take action, you just remain stuck in the same place and you will end up feeling the same frustration.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's inspiring to take action, and the confidence will follow. I always tell my clients and myself that confidence isn't the absence of mistakes, but it's the belief that you can handle them. We're not aiming for it to be faultless, perfect. It's knowing that even if you make a mistake, like in the doctors or the bakery, you can still survive and you can still get to the end result. And I think this is an important reminder when we're thinking about confidence.
Yes, and being able to look back on that experience and knowing you've survived, so you can do it again. You know, you've done it once, you can do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the first step is always the hardest. So if you're in a place at the moment where you think, you know, should I do this? Should I take up English classes again? Or, you know, you really need to improve your German to get that better job opportunity. Once you've taken the first step, you will never look back. But instead, you know, you can always look back and see how far you've come, really. And that's a great feeling. So just take the first step, small steps at a time, but take the first step.
Yeah, great. What steps can people take to reach out to you if they're interested in learning German?
Yes, the best way is via my website. You can see my website here, sandra-wood.com, and there you can find out more about my offer and especially also about my German Fluency Breakthrough Program, which is my flagship program for people who are quite advanced. So they've maybe done a B2 course or they've started C1, but they live in Switzerland. They want to integrate better. And this is a program focused on speaking, a small group program, which in 12 weeks helps you practice some of the most important situations in everyday life. So be that at the workplace or just going about daily life in Switzerland. And you will also be paired up with a language buddy. So the next course start for that is the 29th of September. And if you'd like to find out more about that, you can go to my website or you can also drop me a message on LinkedIn. And
Amazing.
you, Megan, anything you'd like to share?
I want to sign up for your course. It sounds great. You can find my LinkedIn or my website, Mega Language Coach. I'm also on Instagram as well, so and YouTube, lots of different ways to find me. I have one-to-one classes, so probably the 10-week business English course is most appropriate for anybody watching, and also the confident conversation classes. So this is an ongoing one-to-one offer where we talk about things that are interesting and relevant for you. So whether it's sports or hobbies or travel, or I have some students really interested in politics and history. So we get the vocabulary to feel like confident to talk about these things. And I would also recommend signing up for my newsletter, which is free once a month. And I can share more tips like this.
Yeah, so just follow us here on LinkedIn. And I think we've got another LinkedIn Live planned, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are going to talk about fluency, and it's actually overrated.
Yes, so if you're curious about why it is overrated, join us again. It'll be advertised on LinkedIn. And in the meantime, you know, if you've got any questions, just get in touch with us and we're here to help. So thanks very much for watching and looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Ja, vielen Dank. Tschüss.
Danke, tschüss.